While most of the country was winding down after a truly unsettling week, something almost unheard of in all of American history happened. The Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, recognizing the urgency of what was unfolding, addressed the nation with a statement that was both restrained and bone-chilling. As he stood alone, framed tightly beneath cold studio lights with a navy curtain behind him and a corner of the American flag pressing into the edge of the shot, his face was tight, his expression serious, almost strained, not with panic, but with controlled composure of someone who knows exactly how dangerous this moment is. His jaw stayed set. His tone was level. He didn't dramatize or even pause for effect. He simply delivered the facts. He and the Federal Reserve were served with grand jury subpoenas. He was now the target of a criminal investigation by the Department of Justice, and the President of the United States was threatening him with prison. And you might be asking yourself, what crime was he being accused of? It was refusing to manipulate the economy to serve Donald Trump's political timeline. And this is not about ethics or transparency, and it is certainly not about public trust. This was about control. Simply put, Trump wants the central bank under his thumb. He wants interest rates dropped, markets flooded with optimism, and a short-term economic sugar high that he can point to as proof of success before the midterms. He wants the illusion of growth, even if the cost is inflation, a housing collapse, or long-term economic instability. And Powell? He said no. He did what central bankers are appointed to do. He followed the data, not what the president demanded. And now, for doing his job, he is facing criminal prosecution. What is happening is simple and staggering. The Trump-controlled Department of Justice is using a building renovation as the pretext to take Powell down. The renovation of the Fed's headquarters, a multi-billion-dollar project, was fully disclosed, authorized, and tracked. Like most construction projects, it ended up needing to go over the initial budget, but these additional expenses were reported and explained. There was asbestos in the walls, soil contamination under the foundation, and material prices spiked. Labor prices also rose. These are the same issues every federal agency faces dealing with old infrastructure in the middle of a global supply chain crunch. Powell testified about it, and Congress continued to receive updates. Nothing about this was scandalous, but that's not the point. The details are irrelevant when the real goal is to make a public example out of him. And this isn't just about one subpoena or one investigation. This is about sending a message to every institutional leader left in this country. Obey or be destroyed. And Powell knows this. That's why he's stepping forward and taking a stand. This wasn't a man panicking to defend himself. This was a man drawing a line in the sand and warning the country that the line itself is under attack. And Powell made this abundantly clear in his emergency statement. And every single word deserves to be heard in his own voice.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
And you can see we've crossed into a new phase of this authoritarian takeover, an even more dangerous one. If the president can use the Justice Department to criminally investigate the head of the Federal Reserve for refusing to rig the economy, then no institution is safe. This is a warning shot. It means the final guardrails that protect the independence of our financial system are gone. And if they succeed in breaking Powell, they'll keep going because there's no reason not to. This is how it works. You go after one institution and you test the limits of your power. And if no one stops you, you move to the next until there's nothing left to resist you, until you have it all. And much like everything Trump and his enablers do, this is just another chapter in the fascist playbook that's been done before. In 1933, Hitler passed the Law of the Restoration of the Professional Civil Service. It removed Jewish and politically unreliable civil servants, judges, and professors from public life. Independence was criminalized, and loyalty became the only credential needed for these government positions. That same year, German courts were stripped of their authority to check the executive branch entirely. Eventually, the judiciary was no longer a branch either. It was now a weapon used to legitimize political persecution and crush opposition for the regime. And then, in 1934, Hitler established a people's court to prosecute political enemies. Trials became showpieces, and sentences were predetermined, because this was not about justice. It was only about erasing dissent with the appearance of legality, while also creating fear to stop others from speaking out against the regime. What's happening to Powell follows the same model in the American form of modern-day fascism. And this is where we are. With the Supreme Court stacked for Trump, Congress refusing to exercise its power of checks and balances, and the Department of Justice turned into a weapon and now actively targeting institutional heads and their ability to operate independently of what the Trump regime demands. And his focus on Powell in this moment is simple. If the midterm elections were held now, there's a very good chance that Trump would lose the House, and with that win, would be able to claw back some accountability. He knows that, and that's why he is doing everything he can to prevent the midterms from being free, fair, or even held at all. If we do not treat this moment with the seriousness it demands, we will lose every last protection we have left. It goes straight to the heart of whether any institution, any judge, journalist, prosecutor, or any citizen can say no to the president and survive it. This is not a warning. We are past the moment of hesitation. We are in the moment of consequence, and we must act accordingly. I don't have all the answers, but I do know that each one of us already has exactly what we need to meet this moment. This is our time to pick our path to resistance. I'm writing and dedicating my days to telling the truth about what's happening. That's how I fight. You might be a protester. Maybe you're the one that takes to the streets, who stands outside our military bases holding signs reminding our service members of their oath to the Constitution. Or maybe you're someone who can help fund candidates, independent media, or organizations working every single day to push back against this takeover. Or maybe you're the person who's going to call your representatives over and over again and tell them this is not okay and demand that they rein him in. We all have a place in this moment. We just have to find it and do it. The United States is not doomed. We can end this, but only if enough of us wake up in time to see what's really happening. And if you've made it this far, we're probably on the same page and on the same side of history. I'm working hard to spread this message and reach as many people as possible. So if you can, please take a moment and like this video, share it, comment on it, make sure you're subscribed. Everything helps. We need to reach as many people as possible. And for all of my daily posts, you can find me on Substack by searching Heather Delaney Reese. I've also included a link below. And remember, no matter how dark the days get, I'll be here every single day, and I will always bring you the hope for America. I'll see you tomorrow.